diving into today is La Foca Martínez by Juan P. González. It's actually the first chapter of a serialized novel, but, it raises some striking questions right from the get-go.
Yeah, I have to admit, I wasn't expecting a philosophical punch from a story about a guy stumbling on a seal in his backyard. But here we are. There are so many layers. What's real? What's absurd? What's ordinary life? So let's start with the core question that the paper, I guess the story, asks. What do you do when the extraordinary crashes into your humdrum routine?
Exactly. You have this character, Gerardo. He's just getting some beer, wants a quiet night, and bam, there's a seal chilling in his laundry tub. And the whole scene spirals into this internal debate. Is he even awake? Could this be a hallucination? What do the neighbors think? And my favorite, should he be drinking something stronger? It's funny, but also, wow, we've all had these irrational spirals, right?
Oh, totally. I mean, who hasn't found themselves overthinking some random thing in the middle of the night? Obviously, not usually a seal, but, a weird text message or a sound you can't place. The story just ramps it up to an 11. The significance, I think, is how it kind of messes with the border between the routine and the inexplicable, or the rational and the emotional.
Right, and that brings us to one of the key arguments, or maybe experiments, of Gonzalez's writing here. He's not trying to give you neat answers. Gerardo's not some action hero. He doesn't leap into problem-solving mode. He hesitates. He doubts. He even gets comfort out of the idea that it could all be in his head. Not because he wants to be crazy, but because that's almost easier to handle than a seal in your laundry.
Yeah, it's like we'd rather question our sanity than accept when reality gets too weird. I found it oddly comforting that he just makes a bed for the seal and then tries to feed it tuna. It's very ordinary, like, well, a living thing needs to eat. Even as everything is upended, some needs are just universal. I mean, did you ever have that moment where something is so strange you just focus on the next practical step?
Honestly, all the time. And I love that the story points this out. The tension of knowing the right thing to do, like call the authorities, and just not doing it because it's the weekend, or because it's easier to wait until morning. I mean, side note, does anyone actually know what office you'd call about a rogue seal? I feel like if I dialed animal control for a seal, they'd laugh at me.
Exactly. And it reminds me of how sometimes bureaucracy is so confusing that it just makes you postpone decisions until they're absolutely necessary. I once found a snake in my hallway, and my first thought was honestly, I'll deal with this after coffee.
That's hilarious, and kind of exactly the point Gonzalez makes about how we process disruption. Gerardo worries about legal trouble, about the risk, but ultimately he leaves the problem for tomorrow. And so much of the story's significance is that, the way we cope with the unfamiliar by pushing it off, or rationalizing it, or simply adapting on the fly.
And something else hit me. I know it's a small moment, but he's so careful about the seal, turning down his phone light, backing away if it seems afraid, improvising a bed with a towel. There's an urge to care for what we don't understand, but also fear. I love how the author says, right at the end, that this whole thing comes from el choque entre lo cotidiano y lo extraordinario, the clash between the everyday and the extraordinary.
Yeah, and honestly, it makes me think, maybe we're all just one unlikely event away from totally upending our sense of normal. I guess that's why fiction like this sticks with you. It gives you some kind of soft rehearsal for how you might respond if life suddenly got surreal.
That's a cool way to put it. And I guess for listeners, or readers, what the story offers isn't, an absolute truth about what to do if a seal shows up in your bathtub, but some really interesting questions about how we make sense of the world when it veers off script.
Totally.